All right, let's jump right in. We're going to break down a really short but, wow, incredibly powerful piece of text today. It captures one of those tough, painful moments that I think a lot of us can recognize. But what's really important is the response it offers, a really compassionate way forward. So, this is an explainer about a difficult action, the regret that follows, and a whole philosophy of grace.
So let's set the scene. I want you to just imagine a moment that's just buzzing with tension. It could be anywhere, a classroom, the living room at home. You know the kind of moment where things just escalate so fast, and before you know it, a line has been crossed. And there it is, a sudden physical act. It's jarring, right? It's the kind of thing that makes everyone stop and stare, and not in a good way. It's a conflict that just became physical. And it doesn't stop there. The conflict then turns inward, towards his own family. So you see, this isn't just a random thing that happened at school. It's starting to look like a pattern. A flash of anger, a sharp reaction. You can almost feel that tension ratcheting up, can't you? But then, the whole story pivots.
And this right here, this is the absolute core of the struggle. That burst of aggression is followed almost instantly by this wave of total, genuine remorse. So this isn't some defiant kid. This is a child who is completely distressed, totally overwhelmed by what he just did, and desperate to take it back. That regret is every bit as intense as the action that caused it. So that brings us to the big question, right? What is actually happening here? Is this just about a bad kid? Or is there something much, much deeper going on? This question is what shifts us from just looking at the behavior to actually trying to understand where it's coming from.
See, to find a real path forward, we have to look past what he did and start asking why he did it. And the source material gives us a really specific lens to look through here.
The text connects this pattern of behavior to what's called an FASD profile. Now, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental condition. It can affect how the brain works in a whole lot of different ways. And look, this isn't an excuse for the behavior, but it is a critical explanation. It completely reframes the situation.
So the key challenge, the root cause, is poor impulse control. Think about it like this. For a lot of us, there's a little bit of space between having a thought or an impulse and actually acting on it. In that tiny gap, we make a choice. For this child, that gap, it's almost non-existent. The impulse just becomes an action, instantly. And that is a huge shift in how we see this. Those actions, the shove, the shout, they aren't coming from a place of wanting to hurt someone. They're coming from a brain that physically struggles to hit the brakes. And that immediate regret we saw, the "I didn't mean to," that proves it. It's like he's a passenger to his own impulses, and he hates where they take him.
Okay, so if we understand the why, then the next logical question is, what do we do? What's the solution? And the text doesn't just leave us hanging with the problem. It gives us a path forward, one that's both really practical and incredibly compassionate. And that path has two main parts. On the one hand, you've got the practical side. Teach him strategies. But the text puts this huge emphasis on the second part, which is the real emotional core of it all. Teach forgiveness. Now, teaching strategies, that's the nuts and bolts. It's about giving him actual tools he can use in those overwhelming moments. Things like how to recognize when he's getting frustrated, learning to walk away, using breathing techniques to try and create that tiny gap between impulse and action. You're basically helping him build the brakes that his brain has trouble with. But the text says, most of all, we teach forgiveness. Why is that the most important piece? Well, because the strategies, they're going to fail sometimes. That's just reality. And in those moments when they do fail, what's left is that awful shame and guilt from, I didn't mean to. Teaching forgiveness, teaching him to forgive himself, is what lets him get back up and try again. It's what keeps him from being completely crushed by his own mistakes. It's about healing the emotional wound, not just managing the behavior. And this all builds up to the final, and I think most powerful idea in this whole text. This isn't just a parenting tip. It's a whole philosophy about how we see ourselves and how we see other people.
It all comes down to this core belief, this philosophy of grace, a belief that makes a clear distinction between a person's actions and their identity. It draws a line in the sand between who a person is and what they sometimes do.
He's not defined by his worst moments. Let that sink in. That's the whole thing right there. This child's identity isn't the shove. His identity isn't the shout. His identity includes his struggle, for sure, but it also includes his deep regret, his desire to do better, and his effort to learn. His worth as a person is built in. It's not erased by his challenges. And that's a message that goes so far beyond just this one story, doesn't it? Every single one of us has worse moments, moments we wish we could take back. And the grace that we're asked to show this child, it's the same grace we all need. So this short text leaves us with a really profound question. What if we chose to believe that no one, not our kids, not our neighbors, not even ourselves, is defined by their worst moments? What would change if we really believed that?